Welcome to Chai and Chat on the Sis Podcast, where we discuss what it's like being women in Western society. Pour yourself a cup of chai and tune in to the conversations. When I was traveling overseas, I had people ask me where I was from, and when I told them I'm from America, they would go, "Oh wow, welcome, are you from New York?" Hey y'all, assalamu alaikum, this is Sister Hoff. And yes, what I just said actually happened to me, but today we're going to be talking about the cultural experiences in America and many of the myths and misconceptions. I have a friend who's unique. Well, all my friends are absolutely unique, but this friend, she's Taiwanese and Chinese, and so I really like hearing her perspective and what it's like growing up in America and the influence of her family's culture.
So, growing up in the US as a Chinese Taiwanese, it was very interesting. A lot of the myths or superstitions kinda made sense, but some didn't. We weren't allowed to whistle or play music because it would attract ghosts, spirits, or demons. Birthday parties when you are young is okay, but when you get older it's not something that's a major celebration because it reminds the spirit death to not forget about you and to come for you. Around Lunar New Year's, also known as Chinese New Year, you want to avoid cutting your hair because you could end up cutting away good luck. It's the same with cleaning. You don't want to clean away the coming of good luck you may have. You just want to eat moon cakes and certain meals to prepare for the new year, which I feel kinda whatever about. But I grew up with cultural health beliefs more than anything, especially when it comes to pregnancy. No soy sauce or any dark liquids, because it can make baby dark-skinned and ugly, because light skin is considered more attractive. Personally, I could care less. My husband is Mexican. I mean, we have a mixed race and cultural house. Another thing they say is to avoid carrying heavy items even like 10 pounds, because it can cause you to lose the baby, because the item is heavy. You want to eat only warm to hot items, not cold. Don't go out of the house if you can. Avoid telling others about the pregnancy if you can, because someone might wish evil or bad juju upon you and your baby. That's what I mainly remember growing up. My family isn't too superstitious, but there's some stuff just from their upbringing, probably because we are in the US now. In an Asian Christian household, you were expected to always have top grades in school. You had to get the best job that made money and work really hard too. Don't dye your hair anything unnatural. Absolutely no tattoos. You can only get an ear piercing on just the earlobe. Well, I have multiple piercings on my ears and a half-sleeve tattoo, so I'm not strict on anything with the culture. I do love the food. Food is yummy. Dumplings, meat buns, Peking duck, fried green onion pancakes and certain noodle dishes are delicious. Occasionally, I'm into some of the pastries too.
My friend said her family makes the dumplings with pork, and I don't eat pork, and my Muslim friends don't eat pork, but they can do it with other things, and I think, she said they also have like a veggie version. That'd be fun, I'd like to try it sometime, it'd be awesome. I like hearing about the different like superstitions, because my family being Southern, there's still the superstitions. I mean, there's some serious superstitions in the South that my family's kind of like, but like, there's this superstition that if you cut a boy's hair before he's 1 year old, he's gonna go bald. So even my parents did this I have 3 brothers, for all of them, they didn't get their first haircut until they were a year old. They used to like save the hair. I found my grandma's baby hair one time. I was going through their attic. I found my great grandmother's stuff, and she had like my grandmother's first haircut, and then like a couple years later, and the hair was changing colors, and I was like, this is really cool. Mashallah, she had thick hair and it changed colors, but at the same time, it's kind of gross. Why do we keep people's hair? Said the hairdresser who used to have a bag of people's hair in her closet. Look, it was for donating, back when people used to take donations. Anyway, there's a whole if you break a mirror, it's 7 years of bad luck, but that comes back from the time of indentured servants, because mirrors were extremely expensive, because they weren't made out of like plastic and stuff like they are today. They would have to actually find sheets of, I believe it's mica, giant sheets, and be able to cut the mirror from that. And if you broke a mirror, it would be 7 years of indentured servant labor just to pay off a mirror. That's pretty insane, and indentured servants worked like every day. If you sweep under someone's feet, then they won't get married. So that's a big thing in the hair, like in the hair salon. We sleep in hair, like don't sleep on other people's feet. We want them to really get married and stuff like that. That's pretty funny to me too. And I knew a family. This wasn't a superstition, but it's definitely something they practiced. When a baby was born, they would have a birthday cake and do like a celebration because it was your birthday. I thought that was cute. And then they'd also be extra and get like a limo and go home from the hospital in a limo. That was fun. My mom didn't have that because she birthed me in the house. That's some old school stuff. I think it's pretty awesome people do it. My family was mildly Southern, so some of the superstitious, not so much. I won't walk under a ladder, and I don't like stepping on cracks on the sidewalk. I literally try to avoid them. I don't know if that's completely like a thing because I have OCD, or I think it's just a thing because I'm Southern and I grew up this way, and I'm like, no, I don't step on these things, and I don't go under a ladder. If I do, I'm like, Allah protect me. I've just always been that way about it. But being that we're mildly Southern, I have worked with people who were so Southern. I used to work with this girl. She was of African American descent, and she was super superstitious. I was learning a lot from her. And like, I don't know, there's a whole salt over your shoulder and spit this direction, spit that direction. I don't know. But if you stepped on her feet, like, I guess somebody did it one time and it shocked everybody. But somebody was like, hey, if you ever accidentally step on the back of her feet, you have to like quickly draw a cross like on the back of her, on her back or something like that. And then there was something else and I totally forgot what it was. But I was like, wow, it's interesting. I think I've kind of heard stuff like that. But there's just all these other little superstitions. They'll come to me later when I think about it. We had certain phrases, certain meals and stuff. Like there was always the big family gathering. I always saw banana pudding. Usually there'd be fried chicken at my family. My mom was a little crunchy and a little granola, a little hippie, and she wanted to be healthy. And we didn't have fried chicken, so I'm not a big fan of fried chicken. I love me some fried pickles, though. Give me some fried pickles. There is a lot of sayings that I'm surprised. Like, of course, growing up in the South, I didn't realize this stuff's not universal. And, of course, as I educate people now, I'm like, look, all of America ain't the same. I meet a lot of Southerners, maybe some Midwesterners as well, but I meet a lot of Northerners, sorry, not Southerners. I meet a lot of Northerners, and I ask them certain Southern phrases, and I'm just like, you don't know this? Like, if you was in trouble, first of all, in a lot of families, my mom didn't do this, but a lot of families, when you got the middle name, so your first name and your middle name thrown, you was in trouble. And you know someone was about to tan your hide. That's the phrase that I'm surprised how many Northerners don't know what tan your hide means. It means you was about to get a whooping on your booty. Because tanning your hide is actually a real thing, to tan hide back when, well, it still happens. So when you slaughter an animal and you take the skin and you're going to turn it to leather, they do what's called tanning, and they kind of like basically like they have to stretch out the leather, stretch out the hide, because it's a hide, the animal's hide, and then get a little bit of sunshine with it, but they would scrape it to scrape off any like thing that wasn't the pure skin, and then it would tan and bake in the sun so it hardened, and that's kind of how you get leather. So think about that the next time you try to buy Louis Vuitton. Also, Louis Vuitton not halal, so for those of you who are Muslims, Louis Vuitton ain't halal. You can't be using it, so get the knockoff stuff. And let's see, there's a lot of people in the South with double first names, a lot of doubles. Like I've met some Anna Catherine, I know an Anna Catherine, a John Philip, or whatever, I don't know. There's just a bunch of different mix of names that are doubled first names. And I don't know, like you have to use it because people get confused. They'll try to use just the first one. They're like, no, it's a double first name. Just like a double last name. A lot of people from Mexico, they have the double last names because they take both their parents' names. They mesh them together, which is interesting. I feel like you'd get really long names like that. I'm sure at some point they drop names. Like I know a lot of Arabs that they adopt like their names, everybody has the same middle name. It's like their father's name, their grandfather's name, and like it keep going. That's like I guess how they keep track of their lineage, but eventually they have to drop off because this is too many names. I've met some Africans do this too with the adding the names. Like I knew this kid, we went to middle school and high school together. We just called him Namdi, but his name was like 7 names. He's like, oh, this is my name, the name they gave for me. But like they just make it one word. They don't like hyphenate or something. It's just one word. So there's like the first part that they chose for him, and then it was like his dad's name, uncles, grandparents, all kinds of stuff, like all these names slapped into one, and they were like insane. I had another person in high school, same thing, the African family, where it's just like all these names, which I don't know if I'd ever learn how to pronounce them, but that's definitely a thing. Something totally random and irrelevant to necessarily culture. Well, no, this is cultural. This is religiously cultural. So in a lot of Christian environments, a lot of Christians, when they go to pray, they're like, bow your heads and close your eyes. And like that is just such ingrained in their heads. Like when my parents sit down, we all sit down to eat, and like we hold hands and everyone just closes their eyes to pray. And there was one time I was in church and this pastor was like, there ain't nowhere in the Bible that says you gotta close your eyes to pray. I was like, oh, he's so right. So, and then like as a Muslim, we don't close our eyes. It's considered makruh, or not recommended to close your eyes when you pray. You want to stay focused or whatever. You don't want to, I guess, accidentally fall asleep when you're doing it. But that's, I think, interesting. There's no religious backing, but it's just something that has been ingrained in us. A lot of Christians I knew would tell me like, oh no, help yourself to like focus and center on your like your conversation with God and stuff. But again, ain't nowhere in the Bible says you gotta close your eyes when you gotta pray. So random little things that just have carried on and become these traditions and the cultures that we have today, which is really unique. And of course there's the background of where it comes from. There's different parts of Europe that have different cultures. I know I have a lot of mixed European, and there's certain things my family practices that I come from these different cultures. Do I know how to differentiate them? No, I don't. We just kind of stick with them. Then you also have like a lot of Native Americans. So in the South, you'll still find a lot of people that have some Native American descent. Supposedly I have some, but it's probably like 1%. Not enough to be significant, but there's still, again, some of these cultures, and we've been here, for centuries. And like when America first started getting the colonists come over, it was really Protestants who were being persecuted by the Catholics. Interesting, the sectarian differences, people be fighting, and people gonna have to move to avoid the oppression. Anyway, common theme, it seems, across every religion. Anyway, I digress. So all these people came and they brought their own culture and their own customs, their own foods and way of life, and it's just kind of mixed. And especially as we started to mix among ourselves, you'll still, certain parts of the country, like in New York, you'll find the distinctive cultures. It's more of what we'd call a salad bowl. I may have mentioned this before, but there's unique different parts to each little bit. And it's what makes this awesome and flavorful mix that's the salad bowl called America. You have some places a melting pot. I feel like a lot of the European Americans and African Americans, we have this melted and blended culture that kind of mixes. I know like in Louisiana's still Southern, but they have Cajun. So that's its own unique little flavor and spice and spicy. Whoever told you white people don't like spicy food, again, that's a misconception. Southern people like spicy food. My brother made a comment recently about there's always that one redneck with what they call colon cleanser, and it's some kind of like fire hot sauce. Like, you ever heard of a Carolina Reaper? They're supposedly like one of the hottest peppers in the world. Yeah, Carolina, as in like North Carolina, South Carolina. Hot stuff. Scotch bonnet, jalapenos, habanero. We like it all. We like spicy. And I like chilies. I really like the chilies that they put in a lot of Asian foods, the red hot chilies. I think they're great. But yeah, Southerners, we like our spicy food. So you can't like take an entire race and group them. You can't sit there and say, like, people seem to think that all Southerners are racist for some reason. To be frank, no. Like, we have our prejudices against other people, but it's not always because of race. A lot of times it's you're from that family, or you're from this social class, this is your parents' jobs, this is your education level, like that kind of stuff. That's more of a bigger thing. And we can talk about way back when, but the whole country was different and the whole world was different as completely versus where it is today. But Southerners, like, I don't care who you are, I could hate your guts. It don't matter. You could be a complete stranger, but if we're passing on the side of the street, or we're in a grocery store, we just pass by each other. Hey, how's it going? How you doing? You know, small talk is a big thing. We talk about the weather with random people. Man, my mama can strike up a conversation with anybody. Anybody. Like, we would just be in the Walmart checkout line as kids, because Walmart was the nearest thing for like an hour from our house. It was like an hour drive to get there. Anyway, she'd strike up a conversation with the random people. She'd go get her nails done, and she'd come out and like tell me this person's life story. And I'm like, how do you just have these conversations with people? But it happens. They do it, and it's just a typical Southern woman thing to be talking. And there's the gossip and the aunties and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like that's kind of universal. That stuff happens. From my experience, at least, it's common for the women to be doing stuff like that. But yeah, the way we act and interact, be polite, small talk. Again, if you hate someone's guts, you still say, hey, how's it going? And men hold open doors. They hold open car doors, and they hold open doors into buildings. It's not women holding doors open, men holding doors. If I'm walking in, I might like catch the door so it doesn't like, shut in someone's face or something like that. But women don't typically hold the doors open. That is what men do. That's what my brothers do. That's how they were raised. That's part of the etiquette. There's a lot of etiquette for women and men, even down to how you sit down. Like when a man sits down, if he wants to like cross his legs or something, there's a certain way they don't do it. That's not typical for Southern men, at least, because of just how it's looked on socially and publicly and stuff like that. And same with women as well. Certain way they sit. Like women, you would never dare sit with your legs wide open. Whether you're wearing a skirt or pants, you don't do that. That's considered inappropriate and unladylike. And behaviors and mannerisms, like women don't burp publicly in front of other people. Like a man can if it's like an accident. It's like, oh, excuse me. And of course, men around each other. But women don't even do it around each other. Like that's just like a thing. And women don't share their age. I stick to this. Everyone's always like asking me, like, you can just tell me. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm stuck with my culture. A lady does not share her age. Look, once you become past that age of 18, you don't share age. You don't ask people. It's considered disrespectful to, of course, my friends who don't know the Southern culture. They don't understand that. But once I educate them, they understand, and it's all good. It's all dandy. There's a lot of different phrases. I can't think of them now, but they come out, and I hear them with other people, and I know what they mean. There's different accents. In every different state, there's a different accent. So, like, I can give me a minute, and I can usually tell the difference between the different accents. Like, my dad, he grew up in Texas, so he's got a Texan accent. But his parents are from North Carolina. But his mama was from the mountains, so she got that mountain accent. And my pawpaw, he got, like, that Southern accent. Like, he's straight up on the farm. Like, he was the first one in the family to, like, leave the farm. He wasn't the first to get a college education. His mom actually had an associate's degree, but he actually like left and became like a medical doctor and stuff like that. And it's how we've kind of like grown up, and why my family is mildly Southern, because they had all moved around. My mom, she, even though her parents are from like Georgia, and like my great granny, her family's from like Virginia, but like Southern Virginia, like real Southerners, and they grew up, she ended up growing up most of her childhood in like St. Petersburg, Florida. We call it St. Pete. So, and Florida ain't the South. Very different. If you're in the panhandle of Florida, you're basically in Alabama, Mississippi. But otherwise, the rest of Florida, you get all these people from up north. They retire and they move down to Florida. That's why Florida has like their life expectancy rates are completely different. But it's because you have all these people who retire and move there because, I mean, come on, it's warm weather. And if you're from up north, you never have to deal with snow again, which sounds fantastic. I mean, I'm used to the warm, so being in colder climate sucks, but I will go where I can find a community because it is what it is. There's a lot of things about Southern culture I have found in my time meeting my friends that's really similar to the Arab culture, which I think is beautiful. And they didn't know that. People don't know that. They don't realize how similar we are and the way family values and stuff are, which I think is so cool. So yeah, which actually I do have a lot of, like, different Arab countries have different cultures. There's some similarities, but they're different. Just like the southern states, we have different accents. Again, you give me a minute, I can kind of tell the difference between some of them. My Mimi, she grew up in Georgia, But like when she moved away, she kind of like dropped the accent. I don't know if it's just because she's prim and proper and wanted to like blend in with wherever she was living. But then as soon as she moved back, she said stuff like, "Oh, look at them acorns." And my mom was like, "What?" She never said acorns, like acorns. Acorns? Who said acorns? And I heard her say wash the other day. It's just fun, different way we pronounce things. Because I'm bidialectal, I can speak different accents. I speak two accents. There's like the standard American, there's like Southern, and I switch between the two. It's completely unintentional. When it happens, it can be totally influenced by my attitude, my mood, who I'm hanging around. I will say definitely when I get agitated or like super excited, especially when I'm agitated, the accent comes out. So it's a good warning for people. If my accent gets real thick, you better back off, cause hell hath no fury like a woman's scorn. Another Southern phrase, cause we get mad, and you don't want to deal with no mad Southern woman. So, as someone who grew up in the southeastern United States, I knew nothing about the Middle East. Literally nothing, and anything that was said was like totally wrong. So, here's a little bit of things that were shared with me.
One thing that really upsets me about the Muslim world is the culture of classism based on race. It's essentially racism. Within each specific culture, there is ranking too. For example, in the wider regions, Arabs have a certain class among the other cultures, and within the Arab cultures, some countries are seen as more civilized and educated than others. It's a sad phenomenon, and it's even sadder when more people than you realize have these preconceived notions. I even had these notions, until I grew up and made friends with those people, and I realized they were the most genuine people ever and missed out on a lifetime of good friends because of a bias. A common thing in the Muslim Shia community is for people to rank Sayyids above others. To be honest, this is more of an Persian and Desi thing. Another thing I've seen is some people in the Muslim Shia community putting Iraqis on a pedestal. I'm not saying this is everyone, but I've seen it a lot. I actually have a family friend that only would hire Iraqi employees. She eventually got screwed over, obviously. There is also another side of this, where people have animosity towards Iraqis, and I'd have to say it seems to be from a place of jealousy. Once I heard a woman describe Iraqi women as dogs, or something along the lines of that. It was shocking to say the least, but I could definitely tell there was jealousy in her statement. Other instances where people of other cultures use Arab as a slur, or say Arabs are ugly or arrogant. I've always hated how much our communities foster this racism. Another honorable mention is Pakistani women. Pakistani women always get the short end of the stick, despite them being so generous, kind, and caring. It's always upset me how often and how much Pakistani women are mistreated within their own culture and in the greater, global community. Our communities have a long way to go in dealing with this racism issue.
This is really sad to hear, and this honestly happens in all of the communities, in all the Muslim communities, and even those who are not Muslims. Like, I have friends who are Arab Christians and stuff like that, and even Desi Hindus, and these kind of issues happen. It's really sad to hear that and what people are experiencing. So it kind of made me like down, and I asked my friend, what are some good things though about the culture? Like, these are obviously issues that we totally need to address and, fix ourselves in our communities to stop these things and keep them from happening again. So now I have what my friend shared about the positive things.
The things that I think are really great about Iraqi culture is that we stand by our people. Really, anyone who is Iraqi, Shia Muslim, Middle Eastern, or simply a kind, genuine soul in need of a break. My father raised me with values I deeply admire, that money is infinite, stinginess is distasteful, and empathy should extend to all people, no matter their circumstances. Some might argue that these values are just a reflection of my father's honorable character rather than Iraqi culture itself, but I beg to differ. In Iraq, cultural expectations often surpass personal nature. Hospitality is sacred. A guest receives the best of everything, the most comfortable bed, the finest food, even the best clothes if needed. Guests are never expected to pay for themselves. and the same principle applies to women. A woman should never have to spend her own money. One tradition I once assumed was universal but later realized wasn't, after speaking with my Desi friends, is how extravagantly women are treated, especially during their bridal era. When a woman is a bride, she doesn't spend a dime. Her engagement party, wedding, bachelorette celebration, henna night, outfits, loungewear, and even dates are all paid for by others. She also expects to receive gold as a gift from her husband, his family, and specific wedding guests. Beyond that, her clothes, furniture, and home essentials are selected by her but paid for, ensuring she transitions into her new life smoothly after marriage. I was surprised to learn the treatment Desi women go through during their wedding process and the lavish treatment. Anyways, all this to say that in our culture, hospitality, masculinity, men with provider mindsets are all expected while stinginess and selfishness are shunned. I think that's what I find so beautiful.
This is really gorgeous and beautiful, and how women are spoiled and showered upon lavishly. I recently heard about the gold jewelry. I hadn't heard that before. I knew that gold jewelry was a big thing in the Middle East. I didn't realize that it was a big thing for weddings, and it was showering upon people. One of my Afghan friends, at her wedding, they had all the gold jewelry, and I was just like, I didn't know it was real because I know nothing about jewelry. And she was like, no, this is a thing that we do in a lot of Middle Eastern countries. This is the culture that they do gold jewelry for the bride so that she has for herself something gorgeous and beautiful and of value. I know that different cultures have different ceremonies and stuff. Traditionally, in the American culture, this is the European influence. The way they do the ceremony, the groom cannot see the bride before the wedding ceremony on the day of the wedding. Obviously, he may have seen her before, but he cannot see her or her dress before. And then she has the veil to cover her face, covering her beauty. It's a modesty thing. Her father walks down the aisle and her father gives her away, and the father lifts the veil, like, here's your bride. I'm sure at one point in time in history, men couldn't even see their bride at all in like strict arranged marriages in Europe, way ancient times, and she would be covered so he wouldn't get to see her face until then, because of the way those arranged marriages worked, usually in like upper class and royalty. Anyway, and then there's the wedding ceremony, exchanging of rings, and there's a lot of Christian aspects put in there. My parents did the lighting candles together. I've seen people hand tying knots. That's more of a pagan ritual right there. Stuff like that. I know in Judaism, they stomp on like the glass, and they have to get married under like a canopy or like under a tent. So, and then there's the wedding reception after, and that's kind of where the bulk of the money is being spent on weddings. People spend so much money on weddings and stuff like that. Then you have the dress. It has to be white. That was just traditionally symbolizing women's purity. And then there's the old saying, the old English saying, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, and a sixpence in her shoe. So, for example, my sister's wedding, we'd still practice these customs, and I know a lot of other Southerners do it, and we're just like, we're strict on it, like, no, this is how we do it. So my sister, she had, her dress was new, her wedding veil was old, it was my mother's wedding veil. She borrowed jewelry, and then my mom stitched blue ribbon in the underskirts of her dress, so she had something blue. And I'm assuming they gave her money, but they didn't stick it in her shoe. That was traditionally, money for the wife to be able to spend on whatever she wanted to and just have her own little bit of money starting off with her new life. Hey y'all, I'm here with my friend Kim. She's going to share about her culture, some of the myths that are surprisingly true, a lot with the beauty standards and the expectations and pressures within her culture, as well as some awesome things that she loves about it. What's your cultural background?
I'm Asian, aka Vietnamese and Chinese.
Okay, so what are some things that are myths or assumptions that may or may not be true about your culture?
That we eat cats and dogs. Because we're poor, they eat cats and dogs. Just like how in other countries they eat rats, we eat cats and dogs. But this, again, is because they didn't have any money or any food. It's not a myth, we do it, but this is not every day. This was back in the day when they didn't have anything.
So what are some things, though, regarding relationships, family relationships, dating, marriage, or anything like that? Is there anything about that that's very specific to your culture?
This is not to be mean or call out my culture. I love my culture, but they do not want you dating outside the race. It's true.
What do you mean? Like, what do they do if you want to?
They will talk.
Okay, this is something that I do hear a lot for different cultures. Is there like beauty standards? What is like the beauty standard, or maybe like for your culture that they expect you or they want you to look like, or they expect you to look like within your culture?
So my whole entire life, I was called that. And I'm not a big person. I'm like 145. But they want you to be skinny to the bone with bangs, short hair, no makeup, piercings, or tattoos, which I have. And yeah.
In some cultures, people prioritize like maybe how pale you are, the shape of your nose, the shape of your eyes, or stuff like that too. Is that like, and it reflects in like how people do their makeup and style their hair. Is there anything you think that's particular for your culture or for Asian culture?
To be honest with you, the more pale you are, the better. Because Asian people love the look of pale skin. It makes them, well, they think it makes them look younger and beautiful. I think it's overdoing it a little bit because we live near the equator, so we're a little bit more tan, and it's not realistic to be pale.
So like the reasons why in your culture paleness is associated with youthfulness, because like there's other cultures that do beauty, like they see paleness as beauty, but the reasoning is different. So you're saying it's because they feel like it makes them look younger
and more beautiful,
like clearer skin.
This is only my opinion, yes, because growing up, that's always what they've said, is the more pale you are, the more skinny you are, the more beautiful and younger looking you are, which is so false, but you know.
So going back to what you were saying about the family wanting to marry you, with, like you want to marry within the race or whatever, what does that like mean for them? Like how are they deciding what puts you in that race? I think you said something about having to look Asian enough or whatever.
Okay, hopefully this answers your question. I think it makes them uncomfortable for their kids to date outside of the race. They want to keep the tradition alive. They don't like change.
Some of that is like culture, like they want to maintain the culture. But some people, again, the beauty standards, like they want you to look a certain way, they want your children to look a certain way or whatever. Like, is there ever a problem within families if like obviously your parents look really Asian but your kid doesn't look Asian?
I don't want to speak for everybody. However, in my opinion, I think they just don't want to see change. They don't want to see a colored baby, okay? They don't want to deal with different people.
What about like different like features, like if your face is different feature? Or you said you had issues, I guess, like with your family and how they viewed the way you looked and like their ideals. I think you did talk about that a little bit.
I think your looks is something that you cannot control. However, I don't think my people want me dating somebody who sags their pants or wears baggy clothes or smells, you know?
Yeah. That's mostly like controllable stuff. Thankfully, that's mostly stuff that people just dress differently, or that's just attire. It's not so much like physical appearance or something like if your family had to choose between a non-Asian person who dressed a certain way appropriately, right, and didn't have tattoos and piercings versus an Asian man who sagged his pants and like had his face all pierced and tatted up, like what would your family do?
Go for the wealthy one. I'm being honest.
So the money's more important than looks.
At this point, yes.
Is there anything else about your culture that you want to share? Like, what are things that you like about your culture?
Oh, things I like about my culture. The food. The food is amazing. Have you ever tried pho? It's Vietnamese noodle with like beef broth. The best thing ever. Or bum bae, which is spicy beef broth. I don't know if folks out here eat meat or not, but it's delicious. Or for the non-meat eaters, vegetable spring rolls. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thinking of what you've heard thus far, Mia, about my friends, the different cultures, anything new that you learned that was interesting?
Asians used to eat cats and dogs.
Shout out to Kim. Thanks. I think I had thought about how when it comes to like the Middle Eastern culture growing up, I didn't realize how lavish the women were treated.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
I know.
Maybe we should be Middle Eastern. Can we switch? Can we switch cultures?
Can we trade? That's what I think is so fun about the other cultures. There's just things that you find, you're like, oh, I like this they have, or, you know, they have this that I don't like. I don't want to eat cats and dogs.
Well, I definitely don't want to do that, but I'll take some...
If I get poor, I'm going to eat trees.
I'll be spoiled.
I'm going to eat shrubbery if I get that poor.
Yeah, I'll eat the grass.
Eat the grass. I have heard of some people in, like, there's this guy, and he eats just plants, because when he was young, young, he was poor. He would make sure his family had food, but then like he would just eat trees, and he got to acquire the taste of it, and he still eats it, and I'm just like, well, I can't blame him for that. So I feel like, okay, that maybe that's a cultural thing. So I feel like a lot of women in America, maybe it's just the South, but a lot of women in America like to listen to true crime stories.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Because I feel like it
helps me go to sleep at night.
It's so weird. Like, watch a scary movie and you're like freaking out and I can't sleep.
Oh no, I don't like.
But then I
movies.
literally listen.
But if it's real, I'm all for that.
That's
scary movies
that's what's
are
so crazy. Then I go and I listen to this whole story about a serial killer. This guy who like, well, not serial killer, he murdered his whole family and then like dropped off the face of the earth. Of course, this is back in like the 60s or 70s when you could just walk into the social security office and get a new one. And then I slept just fine. I've run across that online where I feel like a lot of people. Anyway,
maybe it's just something wrong with us as women. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, in America, we're mixed up with so many different cultures. We're just a blend of everything. Oh, you've been up north, haven't you?
When I visited you.
Oh,
does North Carolina count as north? I've been in New York when I was like 5. That's where my dad's from.
Do you feel like your dad has a little bit of New Yorker in him?
Oh, definitely.
So he's not very southern.
No, he's definitely more northern. My mom is pretty southern, though.
Yeah, she got that southern accent.
Yeah. But it usually only comes out if she's like at my grandma's house. She's like, back home in North Carolina. That's what we call
that. Okay, it's called bidialectal. So you speak different dialects of the same language, and it can switch. Like it happens to me. It switches when I get angry. You get mad. Your accent.
I get a black accent.
Black accent. If you guys were
no, but I need to start learning about like Puerto Rican culture.
What is your husband's like?
He's white and he's Puerto Rican.
Is he like half-half?
He's 25% Puerto Rican and 75% white. His mom's 50% white and 50% Puerto Rican.
Which, when you say white, it's so funny to me because it's like white, like European.
Yeah, all of that.
Which could be
all of it. It's a lot.
Any part of Europe.
Because I think I remember his mom saying something about Irish and something else. I don't know. Just white. There's a lot of white.
I was thinking about, I feel like America has kind of, because of America being so diverse and nobody has any idea where we came from, DNA tests have been a big thing to find out.
I did one of those. I got 6 pages worth of stuff.
You're a little bit of everything. You should keep checking it because they apparently update those. As more people take the test and they can start connecting DNA, they can update it. Because I had a friend, she took it, so did her sister and her parents, and they all came up with something different. And she's like, it looks like I'm not your child. Like,
my
the
mom,
way it was. But it's changed, and now, like, it's obvious.
Yeah, my mom took it first, and then she had an extra test, and she gave it to me, and so I did it. It keeps sending me this email talking about, it was buy one, get one, I think. It keeps sending me this email talking about, we may have found your mother. And I go on the app, and it's her, so I sent her a message on the app, but of course she doesn't go on there. I was just like, are you my mother? But I had to tell her it was there because she doesn't get on it.
So there's some countries that citizenship is based off of your lineage. Some of them it's based off of like your father. So if your father was a citizen, you get citizenship. But there's some, which I shall not name, they literally, you can only be a citizen if you are basically a certain race or lineage. But these said countries, it's illegal to do DNA testing for that.
Must be Germany. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I'm actually part German.
Maybe in the 1930s.
I'm part German, so that's weird. A black German. That doesn't.
I'm like
doesn't sound
majority right. German and English.
I got German, Irish. I don't know. I could go get my 6 pages worth of stuff so we can read it.
And then, like, if I'm like, okay, here's my background, let me learn about the culture. It's so much because, like, I have friends from, like, let's say the Middle East. They're from like specific countries, like they're from Iraq or they're from Kuwait or Lebanon, and it's like their culture's so strong and they know it and they know their family lineage and like the way things are and the way they've been for centuries, and I'm over here like I'm a little bit of this and I'm a little bit of that, and if I try to learn the culture for all of them, I mean, I'm not obligated to do anything, but it would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's to the point where I've always felt like I don't have a culture. Like, we just do whatever. But then I think about it, and it's like, you know how on Sundays, maybe we'll only eat, like, breakfast and then, like, lunch, and that'll be lunch/dinner. Yeah. I guess that kind of would be a culture thing for us. Yeah.
I don't know if it's, like, part of the religious community here, or if it's a Southern thing.
I think maybe it's just a Southern thing, because I don't know what it is. I think because we go out to eat, usually, after church.
We didn't.
Sometimes.
My parents had too many kids.
Sometimes
we lived in the middle.
But even if we didn't go out to eat, like we would just it would literally be you eat breakfast and then you eat one other time and that's it. I don't know why.
We had like
So
breakfast on the go as we were running to church because we were always running late. By late, we mean on time because my dad's always like, if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. And then we would have this big lunch, which my mom usually had like in the crock pot where she had like the oven on a timer when we went to church. And then in the evening, we had ice cream.
Ice cream
My dad still does his Sunday night ice cream. They have Creamtopia, which is a chest freezer downstairs that's just full of ice cream.
They named their freezer
Creamtopia. It used to be completely full of ice cream. Now it's, they've lessened it because my dad has high cholesterol and stuff like that. Each family can have its own unique culture, of course, too. Because we're immigrants. We're just so mixed up. Now, unless you are straight up Native American, you are mixed of something. If you've been here for, a couple of generations, you're mixed with something. When people come to me and say I'm Mexican, I believe that they're straight up probably Native American because Mexico is part of North America because they're more Native than the rest of us are. We're all a little bit of this and that. I would love to take that DNA test. It'd be fun. My aunt took it and my mom was like, this isn't right, it's missing things that need to be on there, and she was trying to argue a DNA test. I was like, Mama, you don't know who was the milkman's baby, so no matter what history you have written down or what granny told you.
Yeah. My mom actually got the second test for my dad, but he refuses to take it because he doesn't want to be framed for a crime.
Oh my god.
That's what he says.
If you look if you don't spend a lot of time around a certain particular race or culture, to you from the outside it looks the same.
I don't know, because there's a lot of people in a lot of different races that look the same to me. Like, there's white people that look the same, black people that look the same, Asians that look the same.
And other parts of the world are, like, mixed up. Like, if you say Arab, I'm like, what does that mean? They're just a mix of all different things. Like, I went to Iraq, and there's people with blue eyes. People with red hair, like... Oh, that's a southern thing. A lot of redheads. And no, it's not because everybody marries their cousin or whatever. That's a myth. That is a myth. The southerners marry their cousins. It's actually, everything is legal until it's made illegal. It's illegal to marry your first cousin in like...
My grandma, my mom's stepdad.
20-something states. It's still legal in most.
They're like eighth cousins.
I had like people up north. I've actually got offended because I'm sick of hearing it. People are like, oh, you live in Alabama? And I'm like, well, they don't say Alabama. They say Alabama. And I'm like, it's Alabama? And they were like, haha, do people marry their cousins? And I'm just like...
That's just a running joke for... Like,
I'm just like, oh, all northerners stuck up? Like, that's so rude. But like, I would get offended. But it's going up north, it's easy to feel offended because the mannerisms and culture is so different.
Oh yeah, they're rude.
They rude. Well, to them, they're not rude.
Yeah.
Like in California, they're like, we're not rude. I'm like, you were rude and snotty and stuck up. Oh, another myth. I thought about this because my sister and I got in a fight one time in high school. So it's about the way we talk. So we use ain't, don't, y'all, whatever. We have our own slang.
I feel like I actively try to not because I don't want to sound like a hick.
That's what I'm saying. And then what does it mean to be a hick?
Uneducated.
See, that's a myth. People think that, because my sister said, you don't want people to hear your accent because basically they're gonna judge you and think that you're uneducated. I was like, I don't care what people think. That she was so mad.
Girls, where he's like, and on the seventh day, God created the dinosaurs.
But their accent gave me more of like southern, but like the more west. Not southeastern, but more western. Not quite Midwest, but I'd be thinking like Kansas or something. I ain't never been to Kansas. That is one of 2 states I've never been to out of 50 states. Well, I guess once I get all 50 states, I gotta go to the territories, like the U.S. Virgin Islands and Guam.
We want to go to Puerto Rico because my husband has family there that he's never met.
Can you speak any Spanish?
I can speak some Spanish.
I
can speak enough I could get by.
Survival of the...
I'd be like a 5-year-old. I would sound like a 5-year-old, like a toddler over there, but I know enough.
A lot of... Not all. I can't say all. No, I can't say everything in absolute. Like, a lot of Arabs didn't realize how similar the Southern culture is.
I feel like for people like us, we feel like we don't really have culture because it's never really talked about.
Yeah, that's probably one of our problems in America is that we think that, we don't have a culture or that other cultures are better than us. Like, we self-sabotage, and it's like...
Japanese culture all the way. I'm there for that.
We're just a mix... Which, I mean, my sister-in-law is Japanese, and so I've learned a lot about their mannerisms, which is, it's a lot. It's very different. Look, a cardinal. Apparently, when you see a cardinal, it means a dead person's come to visit you. And my grandma was sad after my pop-pop died because she hadn't seen the red cardinal, but my mom was like, don't tell her you're seeing him, because we kept seeing him here. And I'm like, well, it's because we have a bird bath and more land and just more animals that come around here, and my cat is not eating them.
Because he can't catch them.
Can't say the same for you. Because
I managed to save the chipmunk. Okay, I saved the chipmunk. But the bird, I couldn't save that.
People see American culture and blend it into one big pot, as if it's all the same. But again,
the melting pot.
We're a salad bowl. That I heard that one. I was like, we're not a melting pot. Like some areas you might get a melting pot because you have a little bit of assimilation.
Louisiana.
Like Louisiana, people think Southern, but it's like, well, for us Southerners, we think of it as a melting pot.
Louisiana isn't Southern or Northern. They're Louisiana.
It's still the South. They still have like Southern parts, but like they still have Cajun, which Cajun refers to a type of food, but Cajun refers to a person, a type of person. So it's like a mix of things. It doesn't just mean spicy. People be a little spicy. Give me some
spicy
Cajun.
and a little burnt too.
A little burnt.
Well, that's what Cajun.
Popeye's
Anytime I
chicken
burn something, I'm like, oh, it's Cajun. It's fine. I still eat it.
Cajun. It's just Cajun.
Delicious.
Yeah, a little bit of carbon
Now
you be
I'm
eating.
hungry. Talking about food.
We like food. People don't appreciate that America is a salad bowl. So all these different, like it's one big bowl of people, but we got all these different components and we are quite flavorful. And we don't give ourselves credit for what we have when we really sit there and think about it. Like, okay, we see another culture that's different, another country, and we glamorize it. And we trash our own, not realizing what we are, what we have, and what is good about us and the acceptance of other cultures.
Really the only thing we trash about our country is our government, like as a whole.
Which is fine. Our government is garbage. We have the salad bowl and then the trash can.
Sprinkle some nuts in the salad. That's the government.
A little rotten somewhere. A little smelling. It's probably got a little salmonella on it.
It's the salad that's been forgotten in the fridge for 2 weeks.
Shouldn't have gone with the romaine salad. Anyway.
I'm hungry.
We don't appreciate, like in some other countries, if I were to go, not saying the expectation is, but at the same time, yes, the expectation is that you assimilate, like to respect their culture completely. And I try to do that when
the Borg.
When I go to places like that. But in America, you can have whatever culture you are and have your own little just do it. That's why, like in New York, you got all these streets. They got Chinatown. Well, they have everything.
They have that in California.
Well, they have different like we have all these different streets. That's like basically like another country, every single place you go. Kind of like there's always going to be that one little street where that's like you feel like you're in Mexico because it's like all the shops, everything's in Spanish.
When we went to that and farmers market. I've got like Mexico vibes.
There is a difference though between like the Central and South American countries. Some people, Americans, we mess it up too, where we don't understand. My mom's like, how do you know they're Mexican? What if they're from Honduras and they're offended you called them Mexican? I was like, that is a valid point. Because they have their own dialects too. Like if you travel to different parts of America, different dialects. You travel to different parts of the South, different dialects. Like Alabama and Georgia have different accents. When I was in Alabama working at a salon, I worked with two girls. One girl was from Georgia and one's from Alabama. They both spoke Southern, right? But their accents were different, and people who were not Southern couldn't tell the difference. And I'm like, to me, there's a clear difference between the two of them. But everyone else is like, they sound the same, like it's all Southern. And I'm like, see? It's part of like we have our own uniqueness. And until you like sit down and look at it and appreciate, not look at it to separate ourselves and segregate ourselves, but look at it to appreciate it and appreciate the differences and what's beautiful about each one. Like that's something that I feel like we need to work on. It's just like a people as a whole, completely. Just learning to look at the other pieces and love and respect them and find what's tasteful and not just turn up our nose because we don't like one thing. I don't care if you married your first cousin in whatever state or country you're from. I don't care. That doesn't matter. There's so many beautiful and great, wonderful things. Like fried chicken. I don't even like fried chicken. I don't even like. We're terrible Southerners who don't care for fried chicken.
I don't like fried chicken. I don't like watermelon.
What do you
either.
mean? See, that's a stereotype.
I am half black.
That's
what
you like.
We all know the stereotype. Don't act like you don't know it.
You like grape soda. You do like grapes?
I do not like grape soda. That's disgusting. I don't like Kool-Aid. I don't like any of that stuff. It's
These
gross.
are stereotypes. Well, the thing is,
I like collards though. Collards
people put those as black or African American. I'm like, those are literally Southern.
Southern, yeah.
Those are Southern.
Well, I don't like any of that stuff.
But I feel like when I've gone anywhere in the United States that I've gone and visited the African American community, it's still that strong culture. It's like they literally kept the South with them everywhere they went. Okay, this is why I get along with you guys, because you understand the culture and you're really similar. Whereas like people who are European American, Northerners or whatever else Northerners, I'm like, you guys are way different. I don't get it. I don't understand. Like it's already hard enough to hear past the New Yorker accent.
New York.
New York.
New York.
Is that what your dad says? New York?
No, it doesn't sound
I
like
can't do it. Or the Boston accent.
New York.
Everybody knows that. They know the Jersey.
Welcome to Jersey.
And I don't know, Boston. I got a friend who's actually from Boston. Don't kill me if I butcher their accent. I'm not going to do the accent. Don't worry.
Boston.
They talk differently. Or Wisconsin. It's very nasally.
Canadian, eh?
We're so out of Canadians. Like Detroit, they got their own accent, but they're like right close to Canada. It's different. You know, Ohio actually has a lot of southern accent. Some areas of Ohio is southern, but I had a friend from Ohio that she had what they call the Valley Girl accent. Accent. She had the Valley Girl accent.
What is that drowning in your bathtub?
So
the Valley Girl accident.
that might happen to me.
Drown in your glass of vase water.
So my friend from Ohio, she didn't come from the part that speaks Southern. She was very shocked by the Southern culture for sure. Like Bibles everywhere. You go to a hotel.
Bible Belt.
The Bible Belt. We're like, why wouldn't there be a Bible at the hotel? We're just so used to it.
I don't think I've ever seen a Bible at a hotel.
They're always in the drawer.
I'm gonna go look.
She's gonna
Let's go get a hotel.
Let's get a hotel and start looking. I don't know. We have
It's warm enough to use the pool now.
Being here outside Atlanta, we have all these movie studios, and so we have all these people from California, and they're driving up the house market. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, me going under contract and
Yay!
getting a house in 4 weeks.
Inshallah.
Hopefully.
We say inshallah.
Shalalala.
She tries.
Shalalala ding dong. Sweet life of Zach and Cody.
Oh, we'd be stuck. Oh yeah, and each generation has its own culture too, based off of like pop culture.
Yeah, that's fair. My son keeps going, "Hey, yo!" I'm like, "What?"
I don't know that. I hear kids do that. I don't know what
like
it's
it's kind of like a what? I guess I don't know. I don't really know. I have no idea. I can't keep up. I quit.
Okay.
I'm old. It's fine. I quit trying to keep up. It's fine. I accept it. I'm aging.